Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Morning, everybody. Little bit of pre-market action here. Market's actually pretty quiet. Some days before the market open, the London, New York crossover, that can have some decent action. Right now, it's just quiet. You have kind of an extended move to the downside on a lot of Forex pairs. Well, downside, upside, depending on the pair. So like USD, JPY, for example, 5 days in a row headed down, but there's still room to head down further. If you look at the weekly chart, it seems to have actually flipped from bullish to bearish. It may continue down or go sideways. Things are, again, they seem like they're quieting down, but there should be some opportunities coming up. I'm looking for USD JPY for a possible short, right? So price is a bit bearish. As we can see, we've zoomed in, so several days in a row on the way down, and price does appear to be popping up for the moment, but it might still need to drain out before we see a good pop up. So for example, usually when you have a downtrend, you're going to see price like this for a while, and then you get a nice pop up, and then you get more down. So that's a common thing to see, and we're seeing it right now. You can see it here in price. This is on the 3-hour time frame. So you have, these moves down like this, just kind of these little moves down, and then you get like a nice, 12-hour pop up, and then you get more moves down like this, and you get a nice pop up. Well, it's setting up for a pop up, but I don't think it's quite ready to do it just yet. Just looking at the algos, it's a little bit dangerous to trade overall, so I would be probably looking for small position scalps. But I do expect to see price in the next hour or two to possibly flip and head down. It's a tricky time to trade. Not the best morning, but you know what? That's how it is until it's not that way, right? Like, usually you have kind of not favorable conditions for a while, and then people stop paying attention to the market, and all of a sudden it's favorable again. So I'm definitely going to wait for those conditions to arise before I take a lot of trades. Now, if you are watching this on the replay, go ahead and let me see here. Let's correct that. I would go ahead and get the free algo. Links in the description, right? Go ahead and do that. I do notice that I need to unfreeze my screen. Give me just a moment. All right, should have fixed it. Yep, good to go. Okay, so we might see price head down. It does look like it wants to kind of start branching down from here. Let's see here. Let's draw some supports. We have some local supports on USD JPY right in this area. That's a pretty strong support. And then you have a multi-week support down here at 139.766 and 142.272. Okay. As it stands right now, price markets also tends to slow down before the open, which the open's in about 2.5 hours. So we'll continue this for another hour or so just to see what the setups look like on the Forex pairs. We'll briefly take a look at Bitcoin and the NASDAQ as well, because those are pretty important when it comes, NASDAQ in particular is important, and people just want to see Bitcoin. So, we'll scratch that itch. Let's see here. Yeah, just in reality, it's a bit of a mixed market, and it will be until it's not. So I think we'll probably see here on the 30-minute price will eventually start to make a little bit more sense, and we'll just have to keep an eye on that. And it's like the opposite for the euro. You should look at the euro, it's almost the inverse of this, right? So if you go to a higher time frame, price is a bit bullish here, right? But you have it kind of diving down here on the 30 minutes. So it will flip over, and there'll probably be a nice scalp long available, and it could be pretty quick, probably quicker than we're going to see an opportunity on the USD JPY. So I'll probably pay a little more attention in the pre-market to the euro and just look for the conditions to line up to grab a long. I think that's what I'm going to do. While let me go ahead and put that on. Okay, I got that on another chart so I can keep my eye on it. And I got the JPY on another chart as well. So good. So I'm going to keep my eye on these. In the meantime, I will go ahead and take a look over at, let me see. Let's look at, I want to look at Bitcoin, but I want to look at NASDAQ first. Okay, so NASDAQ showing resiliency, continuing to do so. I thought we would see price breakdown, and it did. It happened, it went a little higher than I thought and not quite as low as I thought. NASDAQ does appear to be being held up, but in the end, it is at sort of a delicate point. It could just continue up. Don't get me wrong. Like the NASDAQ trade news, this, that, and the other, big headline risk. The only U.S. news I think we have this week as far as economic data is going to be on Thursday. As far as I know, there is the G7, like we talked about on the Sunday update, and the G7 starts, I believe, today, goes through Thursday. So you could get like a geopolitical headline to kind of mess things up or push things around or add volatility to the market. But Thursday, the 22nd, there's a lot of PMI data. That's purchasing managers data. So there's some economic data coming out overnight. Let me see, 2:15 a.m. Let's reset my clock here. Okay, so Thursday at 3:15 a.m. EST is the French PMI. 15 minutes later is the Euro, so the German PMI, and those are both going to be Eurocentric, affect the Euro. And then at 4:30 a.m. EST is the British PMI. So those data can push the FX markets around. And then at 8:30 a.m. EST are the U.S. unemployment claims, and then you get an hour and 15 minutes later the U.S. PMI. So Thursday is going to have a couple of events that can push price around, especially the USD events can push the entire market around. So have to keep our eye out for that. Some Canadian news too. I think that's actually today. Yeah. CPI comes out in about an hour and 15 minutes for Canadian. Last couple of weeks, Canadian dollar was good to trade this week. I didn't see a whole lot of opportunity with that. And then tomorrow you got the CPI for the Brits, British pound. But yeah, a lot of Canadian news this week. That's, I'm not really trading that right now, so I'm not too concerned. Some GBP news, not trading that much either these days right now. I go through, I don't want to say phases, but when a pair becomes very tradable, that's when I look to trade it. So right now it's just kind of the Euro and the USD JPY. But you see NASDAQ is it's more bullish than I thought it would be. Well, actually, this is not true. If I go over to the chart that I used more to predict it on my Sunday show, you'll see that the NASDAQ is more or less following what I thought it would be. I did think there might be like a Monday morning pop-up, which is why I had that possibility here. But this is the chart that I showed on the Sunday show. But the Sunday open gapped down hard and then crushed up on Monday. And I think this gap down had to do with the Moody's, maybe the Moody's credit rating got down to we're no longer AAA, and all the news freaked people out. And yeah, that didn't matter. It bounced right off 21,000. Just kept going up. So they're going to get sideways to up, and maybe even start to reapproach the all-time highs of 22,350. We'll see how it goes. G7, China news, Russia, Ukraine, who knows what that's going to do. Let's take a look at Bitcoin real quick. Bitcoin is just kind of messy and sideways, but bullish. It's a little bullish. I didn't draw this on Sunday, what I'm about to say here, but we might see a test of the all-time high in the next week or two. It just depends on whether or not Bitcoin, it did attempt, at least seemingly, to make a run at the all-time high on Sunday, made it up to 107 with the all-time high being 109. Excuse me, it's early over here. Let me just take a quick look at the charts. Charts are bullish in the high time frame. So from what I'm seeing right now, like on the daily, even though it's bullish against resistance, we continue to see higher lows and higher highs, sort of. Definitely higher lows. So the lows keep getting bought up, and that's kind of a bullish signal. It'd be a little bit more bullish if the highs continue to get higher, which they could. I mean, right now it could just eventually make its way up to higher than the high we saw on Sunday, right? So if price kind of goes higher than this point, which was 107, basically 100, if price can bounce up a little bit higher, then this is going to be our clue that we'll get a run up to the all-time high. Could happen really fast, might not happen until next week. If you have these lows right here, so let me just map this out really quick. Like this low, that low. See how these lows are getting higher? Well, if that stops and you get a lower low than that, then it might be that Bitcoin needs to come down and grab some liquidity before it goes up. The higher time frame is rather bullish, though. So I don't think we've seen the all-time high for the cycle, just according to that. Now, of course, it could get stuffed, and that would be cycle over sort of indication. So this is possible. But as it stands right now, I think things are just going to continue to grind slowly up on Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Aussie dollar, and then we'll take a look at the actual news. Okay, Aussie dollar just going sideways like I thought. I will trade Mondays. I didn't trade yesterday because, quite frankly, I was just beat. I didn't, for whatever reason, get a lot of sleep that night, so I just kind of took the day to handle admin, and I had other stuff to do. And a couple of decent opportunities yesterday, but nothing really. There was like one good opportunity in the Asian session for the Aussie. So not missing much there. The Euro doing what I more or less expected. USD JPY doing what I more or less expected. I thought it would be more bearish than it is, but NASDAQ being held up might be that money is flowing out of the JPY, so adding a little buoyancy to this. But this is a head shoulders formation, so I would not be surprised to see this, maybe not in a straight line, but make its way down to this first 272 target that I mapped out on Sunday, and that's 143.69. So what may happen with that, go to another chart on the USD JPY just to map that out, is that let's see, 143.69 was the target for that. So right here is that first Fibonacci target, basically, right? So what I might expect on that is that you just see a little bit of sideways, and it doesn't necessarily straight line to it, but it makes its way down to it. Something like that. So that said, that's what I'm looking at, but it's super quiet right now. There's not a lot going on. And I'll run this maybe another 45 minutes. I just kind of have to see what's going on and see if there actually are opportunities to trade in the meantime. Let's go ahead. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask in the comments section. I know I don't really have a ton of viewers at this time. This is a show. It's kind of a newer show for me, so not a lot of people are expecting it to be on. I take a quick look at the charts above. Let me put this on. Give me a second. I'm going to make some arrangements. I've got screens that I'm watching above so that I can, kind of like make some choices if I need to on trades without having to change the screen that I'm looking at here while I'm talking to you. So it's the nature of trading. Oftentimes you have multiple screens. Not necessarily. I'd say it's fun to have screens, right? Like, oh, I'm like a pro trader. I got 9 screens. Well, look, screen real estate doesn't make you a better trader. 2 screens would be ideal if all you're doing is trading, right? Now I got more than trading going on. I'm doing shows. I'm doing 10 different things. But if I were purely trading, 2 screens is pretty good. Three might be a little bit better if I'm really kind of chasing a bunch of pairs and day trading. But really, I could just use one screen and trade one pair and be fine, and just really focus on that pair. And in fact, I made a lot of money doing that in the crypto days, where all I did was like one crypto, which is a pair. It's a USD pair. It was, whatever crypto slash USD. So, just a note on screens. Don't get wild with it. Doesn't mean you're a better trader if you got a bunch of screens. But my screens are ready. So let's go ahead before we, while we're waiting for the charts to play, take a quick look at gold. Gold showing a low time frame, low mid time frame bullishness. It seems to want to settle in this range that I have marked in a rectangle. Well, like from say 3370 down to about 3200. So that's where gold wants to settle. We'll see. There is room for gold to fall. There really is. There's room for gold to fall. Gold has had a massive move up, and there's room at least for gold to stagnate, if not fall. So do understand that. Gold could just go sideways for a while. Gold could head down to 3,000. I think it really should head down to 3,000. I think we need a nice healthy pullback after, gold doing nothing but going up all year last year and most of this year. So, or at least, so far all of this year, with the exception of the last week and a half. So gold is showing a lot of buoyancy even now, and we're just gonna have to watch it. Right. So let's take a look at the actual news. I'm going to head over to Zero Hedge, which is just, I like their financial news more than most places. I think even Zero Hedge is starting to get co-opted, but they're still, I think they're still pretty good. Looks like Japanese bonds don't look that great. I'm sure they'll be fine though, because, you get this kind of title here. Japanese bond market on verge of collapse after worst auction since 87. Okay, but guess what? They are still, as far as I know, like a big liquidity solution for the international stock market. So, I mean, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. They'll find buyers, I'm sure. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Like on the verge of collapse, really? I mean, don't get me wrong. The headline could be correct. It's a premium headline. Zero hedge premium. So I'm not saying they're wrong, but I just don't know that would be allowed to happen. Okay. Yeah. Europeans, certain people in the European power structure want war. Maybe that's the case. How can we make money on that? I know it's terrible. I know I'm a terrible person, but that's what matters in trading, right? Like these headlines are oftentimes not untrue, but they're definitely going to be sensationalist, which that's how you get clicks and views. And but in the end, okay, so the Europe wants to reinstate military drafts with what weapons? What weapons are you going to fight with? I don't know. They don't really have very many weapons, unless they start to truly rearm. And if that's the case, then they're playing a lot of catch up. I don't know. So I guess you could put money in European arms companies, maybe, or who knows. But yeah, from panic to puts for pennies, complacency trade. I guess premium article. 1 month change in the 10-day moving average to show volatility lowest level since COVID. Yeah, 1 month change. Low volatility is definitely like happening right now. Just looking. I mean, I'm just watching the forex charts. Like they're quiet. They're very quiet. So that's all right. You can make money on that. You just got to wait for the right opportunity. Looks like, it looks like there's maybe some credit issues in the U.S., but I know a lot of people think that means that, everything is going to crash. We're going to have a recession. Like, well, I don't know. The stock market looks okay right now. I mean, stock market really is not a true indicator of everything, but it's a decent thing to look at. Okay. Equity futures in Dixie lower ahead of a slew of Fed speak. Do we have Fed speak this week? Let's take a look. I only look at the red envelopes. Okay, Barkin, Bowman. Okay, yeah, but these are pretty low level. I mean, don't get me wrong, Barkin and Bowman, those are important people from the Fed. So they're, I'm not saying that they don't matter. You get Hammock, Daily. Okay, so there's a lot of that happening today. Bostic, Barkin, a lot of Fed speak, but I don't know that that's really going to move markets. I don't know that many people are paying attention to it. So again, as much as I like Zero Hedge, they got to sell articles. Betting big on copper. You know what? Yeah, a lot of people are looking at copper, which means it's probably too late to look at copper because everybody else is looking at copper. But we can take a look at copper just because people are talking about it. Okay, what are we on the 3 hour? So okay, so copper. Now, copper going up usually, I mean, a lot of people look at it as a sign of possible war. And it's just steady going up. It took a big fall with everything in early 2022. But it's just copper's grinding up. But I don't see like anything special about it. It's in the weekly chart. So if I were to, yeah, monthly doesn't look special. Weekly doesn't look special. I mean, copper doesn't look that special to me right now. Just looking at the charts, it's just consolidating sideways. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's probably money to be made if you're trading copper. Yeah, little bumps here and there, but in the end, I don't know. Look, yeah, no, this is copper. CFD's on copper, so I mean it's bullish high time frame. Very high time frame. It's bullish, and copper did advance pretty well from February. It was at 399, and it bumped up to 540, and then you had what appears to be a 1 bar reversal. So it tried to come back down, get pushed back up. So if this current bar, which has 10 days left, copper's got 10 days to show us that it's pretty bullish to break above 541. And that's got to happen at the end of the month, right? Now, it might be that it happens 41 days later and it breaks 541 at the end of the following month, at the end of June. And it would still be pretty bullish. But if it broke above this month, that would be very bullish for copper. We just gotta, it broke up hard like 1, 2, 3 months in a row. So from the beginning of the year, copper was at $4, and at the end of the first quarter, it topped out at 539. So that's a good 30%, maybe better. That's big for copper. That's huge. So we'll see. I mean, that would require a lot of. See, there was a lot of bullishness at the last part of last month though, because price opened at 505, broke all the way down to 404, lost 20%, but then got half of that back, like all in one big move. So there's a fair amount of bullishness going on if you go back to the beginning of the year for copper. So it's bullish, but it's just got to make its decision right now which way it's going to go, and it could happen quick or not. That's copper for you. Back to the news. Yeah, Greenland's mineral wealth, which is probably a reason we're hearing about Greenland. That and its strategic location, right? Okay. Okay, just looking here. Monday. This is like last night, pretty late. So RBA might do a 50 basis point cut. Bad bond auction. Is that JGB? That's Japan's bonds, right? RBA delivered a 25 basis point cut. Looking again, just trying to see what's going on with JGBs. It's not talking about the bonds. U.S. trade, tariffs, headlines, APAC trade. Here we go. Fixed income, commodity, crypto, Asia Pac headlines, RBA cut cash rate. Okay, we talked about that. Yeah, they talk about JGB, but they only mentioned it. I think that's Japanese bond. We talked about it already. We know there was a bad auction. Yeah, I think that's a lot of sensationalism. Okay, well, I guess we'll flip back to the charts. Nothing really going on notably in the news right now that we can use. Give me just a moment here. I think you wanted to see me blow my nose. It's kind of gross. Okay. Yeah, little seasonal allergies. It's a thing. Nice pop up on the JPY. I was kind of waiting for that earlier. No, there's some news hit for them. Yeah, it's a hyper mixed market right now. It's not the best time to be trading. I guess I missed a little bit of a scalp on this though while I was talking, but such is the nature of things. So on the JPY, I missed a bit of a scalp. I could have grabbed this, but you not like there was a ton of opportunity here. I mean, that's a very low time frame scalp, which is what scalps are. But this little move right here, I could have bought this. It was on my radar. But I think we're just going to see the same thing happen again. Let me see here. Let me collapse this a bit. I think the play on this, yeah, it's just really compressed right now. You got a lot. It's a hyper mixed market. There's no doubt about that. I think what you're going to see here is a liquidity grab top side on JPY. So price may kind of climb up to here and then drop down. So it might be that I just have to kind of be real patient and wait for that opportunity to happen rather than to try to catch the smaller moves. I mean, I could have caught this, but it's all right. I'll just keep my eye out for the next one. Yeah, overall, super quiet morning though. That's for sure. Same thing on the euro. Could have caught this little move down right there. But again, it's not a lot of meat on the bone for these. These are definitely low level stuff, but could see a nice little pop up here though. Little I think we're going to see it too. Probably in the market open. A little bit of a long on the euro. It'll be the same thing on the short on the JPY. Just got to wait for the metrics to be kind. That's all. It's a big waiting game. So take a quick look back at the NQ. Yeah, this one, the NQ definitely has got so fair amount of bullishness. I wouldn't be surprised to see NQ just defy. This is not my Sunday prediction, but I would. I think it's just going to climb up like I did actually draw on the Sunday prediction over here. Yeah. This, let me zoom into the proper screen here. That was my Sunday prediction. I think it's just going to do that. It's going to grind slowly up until it doesn't. At some point it's going to be not able to. It will not be able to not pull back at some point. There's always a pullback. So, but I think we might see a break of 21.5 before that happens. Just have to kind of watch that. Watch it and watch it close if you are trading in Q. But volatility like super low right now. This is pre-market. So it is what it is. Yep. Nope. I think this is pretty much it. I mean, if you're watching, go ahead, feel free to ask questions. And otherwise, I'll probably jump off here and just kind of patiently look for trades. Ultimately, this will head down. But I think it's going to go. This is the USD JPY. I think we will get more sideways before we head down. Like I said, I think we'll definitely see this right here, but then I don't think it's just going to go down. I think you're going to get some mess and then down. So I think it'll go, which is great. I can make money on that. I got ways and means. But yeah, low volatility means, there are ways to take advantage of low volatility for sure. So we'll be on top of that. Let's just take a brief look at the other FX pairs. USD CAD looking hyper boring. I mean, there are ways, again, there are opportunities with USD CAD, but I think what we're going to see with that on this for USD CAD is it's going to be probably a grab. It might not happen exactly like this, but price will head up and grab liquidity somewhere in like this area, but it's going to be like hyper boring and then probably have a nice short right there for CAD. So I'll just run through these pairs real quick. Silver is just major boring right now. It's just hanging out in this range between, this is a 30-minute chart here. This is not doing jack. It's just hanging out between like 31.90 and 33.30, and it's just back and forth going back for weeks. And that's silver. That's why I'm not really looking too much at it. USD CHF, bearish, and it's probably going to ding down. It's going to be like the euro, very similar. It's probably a decent trade forming up right here. We'll see. I gotta wait for the metrics, but yeah, I mean, shorting it now is not a terrible idea. I can't do it yet. I need things to line up, but that's the same as like trading the euro. So just let it line up. GBP still pretty bullish compared to like the euro, which they're both pretty bullish. So again, I think the opportunity is going to be long euro. It's going to be very similar for the pound, but just not as clean. Pound's more bullish. So, could get a head start in the pound. Just look for a pullback and long it is what I might do. Just got to make sure all the metrics line up. It's messy. It's not as liquid as the euro. AUD JPY boring. Solana is just, a little more tradable than Bitcoin at this point. but you know, just kind of following Bitcoin more or less. Like, and of course, you know, ES1, as far as the E-mini SPY and the E-mini DAO, basically those futures are just going to follow the NASDAQ. So, you know, no need to really look away from the NASDAQ on that one. NASDAQ's going to have more volatility anyway. So that's all I got for now. I'm going to hop off. Just, you know, quick pre-market look. And then we'll do the Algo Factory live lab here in 45 minutes or so. So it'll be the, you know, just the lead up to the open. And if there's anything that's worth looking at the open, I'll go ahead and trade it live for anyone to see. But the morning is so quiet, you know, we'd just be sitting here waiting, looking for trades that will take forever to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and hop off and do that without boring the daylights out of you. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you in about just under 2 hours, hour and 45, you know, maybe 2 hours or so, about 10, 15 minutes after the market open. Some volatility might end up coming into the market and giving us some opportunities. So we'll do a little day trading if the charts give us any love, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, free algo, link in the description. Click the link, give us your email, give us a fake name, real name, we don't care, and we will send you an algo to be the very next screen. You don't have to like go to your email or anything like that. But we'll also let you know when I'm going to be I'm going to do a workshop where there won't be any break. I'll just be trading, like, you know, pre-market through the market open, through the first couple hours. You just watch me trade, and you'll be able to see kind of my logic, price action. I won't give away all my secrets, but if you're watching really closely, you might be able to figure them out. So thanks for watching. Catch you later.